Have you ever stopped to think what really happens when intimacy disappears? Not just from your bedroom, but from your body, your heart, and your mind. After the age of 70, going just 3 months without sex can quietly change everything. Your hormones, your circulation, even your lifespan. I'm Dr. James, a men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience helping older adults rediscover vitality. And let me tell you, sexual health isn't just about sex, it's about your life force. You may have been told it's normal to lose interest, but that silence comes at a cost, one most people never talk about. Science shows that a lack of intimacy can raise your risk of depression, chronic disease, and even early death. In this video, I'll reveal 4 surprising dangers of stopping sex after 70 and show you simple ways to safely reignite your body, your confidence, and your connection to life itself. Before we begin, if you care about protecting your health, intimacy, and quality of life after 70, make sure to subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss important advice made just for you. And if this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 and let me know how I can improve this content for you. Without keeping you waiting any longer, let's dive straight into the 4 serious consequences you need to know. Starting with the first and perhaps most overlooked hidden danger that almost no one talks about. 1. Hormonal decline gets worse. As we age, many things naturally slow down. Our movements, our reflexes, even our digestion. But one of the most overlooked shifts is what happens to our hormones, especially when intimacy comes to a stop. After 70, your body is already experiencing a gradual decline in essential hormones like testosterone, estrogen, and even dopamine. These are not just sex hormones, they are life hormones. They impact your mood, your energy, your bone density, your muscle strength, your immune system, and even how well you sleep at night. Now here's the surprising truth that most seniors are never told. When you stop engaging in sexual activity, whether that's with a partner or on your own, for 3 months or more, the natural production of these hormones drops even faster. Think of it like a garden. When you stop watering it, the soil doesn't just dry up slowly. It begins to harden, crack, and lose its ability to support new life. That's what happens to your hormonal balance without intimacy. It's not just a pause. It's a deep, accelerating shift toward imbalance. In men, the decline in testosterone can lead to more than just sexual frustration. You may notice a drop in motivation, a foggy mind, unexpected weight gain around your midsection, or even more frequent bouts of sadness or irritability. Some men describe it as a slow loss of drive, not just in the bedroom but in life itself. Tasks that once seemed easy now feel overwhelming. Confidence dips, muscles feel weaker. Recovery after exertion takes longer, and sleep? That starts to suffer too, which further worsens hormonal disruption in a vicious cycle. For women, the decline in estrogen and progesterone affects more than the reproductive system. Without these hormones, the body becomes more prone to joint stiffness, dry skin, brittle bones, and increased anxiety. Many women over 70 begin to feel emotionally flat or withdrawn, not realizing it may be due to hormonal shifts brought on by the lack of intimacy. The body craves touch and connection not just for emotional warmth, but for chemical balance. When that connection is absent for extended periods, the brain interprets it as a kind of social starvation, and the body responds with inflammation, stress, and accelerated aging. And here's what most people don't realize. Sexual activity, whether gentle affection, arousal, or orgasm, can naturally stimulate the release of these vital hormones. Your body has built-in mechanisms to keep you chemically balanced, and intimacy is one of the most powerful of them. You don't need to be acrobatic or perform like you did at 30. What matters is stimulation, connection, and emotional engagement. Just a few moments of shared or solo intimacy can remind the body that it is still alive, still needed, still in motion. And when that happens, hormone production doesn't just stabilize, it improves. Some seniors assume they've passed the point where hormones matter, but nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, your body is still responding, still listening, even now. But it needs a signal. Intimacy sends that signal. Without it, your internal systems may quietly begin shutting down, not out of illness, but out of disuse. And because the changes are slow and silent, many don't connect the dots until the damage is already done. So if you've noticed a dip in energy, trouble sleeping, loss of enthusiasm, or a growing sense of detachment from life, don't just blame age. Consider whether your hormones might be quietly declining in the absence of intimacy. And remember, it's never too late to restart that engine. Even small steps can make a powerful difference. But hormones aren't the only thing at risk when intimacy disappears. There's another silent consequence, one that affects every heartbeat, every breath, and every part of your physical strength. And this next danger is even more immediate than hormonal decline. In fact, it could be affecting you right now, without you even realizing it. Let's take a closer look. 2. Circulation to vital areas diminishes. Every part of your body depends on healthy blood flow. It fuels your brain, feeds your muscles, nourishes your heart, and delivers oxygen and nutrients to every cell. But as we grow older, that circulation naturally begins to slow. Arteries lose flexibility, blood vessels narrow, and the body's ability to pump blood efficiently starts to decline. That's part of aging. But when intimacy stops, especially for 3 months or longer, that decline speeds up in ways that are subtle, silent, and surprisingly dangerous. What many people don't realize is that sexual activity, even gentle or infrequent, plays a powerful role in maintaining blood flow. During intimacy, the body increases circulation to areas that are often underused. This includes not only the reproductive organs, but the entire pelvic region, lower back, thighs, and even the heart and brain. It's one of the few natural activities that gets the blood pumping without requiring strenuous effort. For older adults, that makes it one of the safest and most effective forms of vascular stimulation available. When you stop having sex, your body stops sending that regular pulse of blood to certain regions. And as the old saying goes, if you don't use it, you lose it. Capillaries begin to shrink. Blood vessels stiffen. Oxygen delivery to nerve endings diminishes. Over time, this can lead to numbness, discomfort, and a loss of function. In men, this often shows up as weaker erections or delayed arousal. For women, it can mean vaginal dryness, thinning tissue, and decreased sensation. But the consequences go far beyond the bedroom. Poor circulation affects your entire body. It contributes to fatigue, cold hands and feet, slower wound healing, dizziness, and even cognitive decline. It weakens the immune system and increases the risk of heart disease. And because the signs are often gradual, many seniors write them off as just getting older when they are actually signs of stagnation in the circulatory system, something that can be improved and often reversed with consistent stimulation. Another overlooked benefit of sexual activity is the production of nitric oxide. This molecule helps relax and widen blood vessels, making it easier for blood to flow. It's essential for heart health, brain function, and erectile strength. But nitric oxide doesn't just appear out of nowhere, it's triggered by physical arousal and sexual touch. Without these natural triggers, your levels drop, and with them, so does your vitality. Think of your circulatory system like a series of rivers and streams. When they're moving, the water stays fresh and nourishing. But when the flow slows down or stops altogether, the water grows stagnant. It becomes heavy, filled with toxins, and incapable of sustaining life. That's what happens to your blood flow when intimacy is absent for months. Things slow down, systems suffer, and damage creeps in quietly. The good news is that it's never too late to restore flow. Even modest levels of intimacy, affectionate touch, slow arousal, or gentle massage can help reawaken circulation. The body remembers. It responds quickly when given the chance. And the benefits aren't limited to physical health. As blood flow increases, so does energy, clarity, and confidence. You begin to feel more present in your body again, more alive. But if circulation is the fuel that keeps your body running, there's another system that controls your sense of joy, meaning, and purpose: your brain. And when intimacy disappears for long stretches, your mind can begin to change in ways you never expected. In fact, what happens inside your brain when you go without sexual connection may be even more powerful than what happens in your body. Let's explore why next. 3. Your brain starts to miss the fire. When people think about intimacy, they often focus on the body. But what many don't realize is that one of the most powerful effects of sexual connection takes place in the brain. After 70, the mind remains deeply sensitive to physical and emotional touch. And when that touch disappears, so too does something vital, the spark that makes life feel alive, joyful, and full of meaning. Your brain doesn't just register sexual activity as physical pleasure, it interprets it as nourishment, as affirmation, as proof that you are still deeply connected to yourself and to life. Each time you experience intimacy, whether it's with a partner or on your own, your brain releases a powerful cocktail of chemicals. Dopamine gives you motivation and a sense of reward. Oxytocin builds trust, emotional closeness, and the soothing feeling of bonding. Serotonin helps stabilize your mood and creates a sense of well-being. Endorphins relieve pain and produce feelings of calm and happiness. Together, these neurochemicals create what we often call the afterglow, a gentle high that lingers, improves mood, and enhances your connection with the world around you. But here's the problem. When you go weeks or months without intimacy, the release of these vital brain chemicals slows down. And when that happens, your emotional resilience begins to fade. You may start feeling a little more anxious than usual, or maybe you wake up feeling low and can't quite explain why. You lose interest in things you once enjoyed, and your social energy drops. Some seniors begin to withdraw from conversations, isolate themselves more, or stop participating in group activities. And what's truly tragic is that many don't realize this shift has anything to do with their lack of sexual connection. The absence of intimacy creates a slow emotional drift, a quiet separation from your own vitality. And because it happens gradually, most people chalk it up to aging. They think, I'm just getting old, or maybe this is what the end of life feels like. But it doesn't have to be that way. Your brain is still wired for joy. It still craves closeness, touch, and the sense of being wanted. When you stop giving it those signals, it adapts, it numbs itself, it turns the volume down on everything: pleasure, motivation, desire. And this numbness isn't just emotional, it affects cognitive function as well. Studies have shown that older adults who remain sexually active tend to score higher on tests related to memory, problem-solving, and language skills. That's not a coincidence. Intimacy increases blood flow to the brain, supports the growth of new neural connections, and reduces stress, all of which are critical for staying mentally sharp. Without it, mental fog can settle in. You may start forgetting words, misplacing items, or feeling like your thoughts are moving slower than they used to. This doesn't mean that sex is the only path to mental clarity, but it's one of the most natural and effective ways to activate the brain's reward system, reduce stress, and maintain emotional balance. Even gentle physical touch, affectionate connection, or moments of arousal can offer mental benefits that extend far beyond the moment. The brain recognizes these experiences as signs of life, of purpose, of connection. And when you give your brain those signals, it rewards you with clarity, calm, and the sense that you are still fully here. You may have gone months or even years without this kind of stimulation, but it's not too late to bring it back. Your brain hasn't forgotten. The wiring is still there, and with just a little effort, that fire can begin to glow again. But while your brain may suffer quietly, there is another consequence of losing intimacy that hits closer to the heart. It's something that affects your sense of identity, your relationships, and your very place in the world. It's not about hormones or blood flow, it's about something much deeper. And for many seniors, it's the most painful consequence of all. Let's explore it now. 4. Emotional loneliness and disconnection creep in. There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being untouched, unheld, and unnoticed. For many people over 70, this is the quietest and most painful form of aging, not the loss of energy or the slowing of the body, but the fading of emotional closeness. When sexual intimacy disappears for months, something deeper begins to shift inside. The space between you and others grows, not just physically, but emotionally. And over time, that space can turn into a wall, one that becomes harder and harder to climb. Intimacy is not just about physical connection. It's about feeling seen, feeling wanted, and knowing that you still matter to someone in a deep, personal way. When sex fades from a relationship or from your life altogether, that emotional affirmation often disappears with it. What once felt like a shared experience, an exchange of trust, affection, and love, slowly turns into silence. For couples, this can lead to a kind of quiet drifting apart. Conversations become more practical and less personal. Touch becomes infrequent. And though both partners may care deeply, the lack of intimacy sends a signal that something is missing. For those who live alone or are widowed, the absence of intimacy can feel even more profound. Without the warmth of physical touch or the emotional closeness that intimacy provides, the days can begin to blend together. You might find yourself going longer without meaningful conversations, without laughter, without anyone looking you in the eyes and really seeing you. This type of emotional disconnection often goes unnoticed by friends or even doctors, but internally, it can take a heavy toll. Loneliness, especially in later life, is not just a feeling, it's a health risk. Research has shown that emotional isolation can increase the risk of heart disease, stroke, dementia, and even early death. It raises levels of stress hormones like cortisol and lowers the immune system's ability to fight off illness. It affects sleep, appetite, and motivation. And it doesn't always look like sadness. Sometimes it shows up as irritability, forgetfulness, or a growing sense of disinterest in the world. You might not feel lonely in the traditional sense, but if you feel emotionally disconnected from others, your body and mind are still paying the price. One of the most overlooked sources of emotional resilience in older adults is physical intimacy. It doesn't have to be passionate or frequent, but even gentle acts like holding hands, resting your head on someone's shoulder, or sharing affectionate touch can help rebuild that emotional bridge. These moments signal to your nervous system that you are safe, valued, and loved. And when that signal comes regularly, your body begins to relax. Your mood improves, your anxiety quiets, you feel more grounded, more patient, more alive. For couples, reintroducing intimacy after a long gap can be challenging. There may be fear, insecurity, or even resentment that's built up over time. But starting small, sharing open conversations, creating space for emotional honesty, and offering non-sexual physical affection can slowly bring that closeness back. For those who are single, physical connection can still come from self-touch, massage, or even companionship through hugs, closeness, or deep conversation with others. The truth is, we never outgrow our need to be touched, to be desired, or to feel emotionally close to someone. That need doesn't retire when we turn 70. It becomes more essential, more meaningful. And when that need goes unmet, it creates a ripple effect through every part of our health. Mental, physical, and emotional. You might not have noticed it happening. Most people don't. It begins so quietly, just a few days without touch, then a few weeks, then months. But if you've been feeling more alone, more tired, or less connected lately, it may be time to look at what's really missing. Not just in your routine, but in your heart. Intimacy doesn't have to be what it once was, but some version of it is still possible, still healing, and still yours to reclaim. What you can do about it. Starting today. By now, you may be realizing something that no one ever explained to you clearly. Intimacy in later life isn't optional. It's essential. Not just for pleasure, but for your health, your happiness, and your ability to stay connected to who you are. If you've gone 3 months or more without sexual activity or affectionate physical touch, it's not too late to turn things around. You don't need to go back to who you were at 30, but you can absolutely begin nourishing the part of you that still wants to feel alive, desired, and emotionally fulfilled. The first step is letting go of the idea that intimacy has to look a certain way. For many seniors, aging brings physical changes. Slower response times, medication side effects, reduced flexibility, and for some, medical conditions that make traditional sex more difficult. But intimacy is much broader than performance. It includes affection, emotional closeness, shared laughter, gentle touch, or simply being present with someone you trust. Even a small moment of connection can awaken the body and spirit in powerful ways. You can begin by reintroducing simple, low-pressure forms of touch into your daily life. If you have a partner, this might mean holding hands while watching television, giving each other back rubs, or lying close in bed without any expectation of where it will lead. These acts may seem small, but they tell the nervous system something profound. You are safe, loved, and not alone. This kind of safety allows your body to relax. And when you're relaxed, your body can begin restoring its natural balance, releasing hormones, improving circulation, and lifting your mood. If you live alone or are no longer in a relationship, don't assume intimacy is no longer available to you. It is. Self-touch, self-pleasure, and emotional connection through friends, community, or even a pet can provide meaningful emotional and physical benefits. If the idea of solo sexual expression feels unfamiliar or uncomfortable, know that it's one of the most natural and healing things your body can do. You're not doing something shameful. You're doing something that supports your heart, your brain, and your overall health. Next, consider having an honest conversation with your partner, your doctor, or even with yourself. Many seniors avoid talking about sex or intimacy because they've been told it's no longer appropriate or they fear being judged. But the silence can be more damaging than the issue itself. If you're experiencing pain, dryness, or difficulty with arousal, a healthcare provider can help. There are solutions, both medical and natural, that can support your comfort and confidence. And if it's emotional distance that's grown between you and your partner, a heartfelt conversation can open a door that's been closed for too long. Don't underestimate the power of intention. Just deciding that intimacy matters again can start to shift your energy. When you prioritize connection, whether physical or emotional, you begin to treat yourself and others differently. You look forward to moments of closeness. You take better care of your body. You feel more optimistic about your days. And this shift doesn't go unnoticed. The people around you feel it. You feel it. And slowly, the spark you thought was gone begins to return. You also don't have to do it alone. There are counselors, sex therapists, and support groups designed specifically for older adults who want to reignite intimacy in a way that feels natural, safe, and affirming. There's no shame in reaching out. In fact, it's one of the most courageous and life-affirming steps you can take. What matters most is not how often you engage in intimacy or how it compares to your past. What matters is that you stay connected to the part of yourself that still wants to feel, that still longs for closeness, for warmth, for joy. Because the moment you stop feeding that part of yourself, it begins to shrink. But when you care for it, even just a little, it comes back to life. And so do you. Conclusion: reclaiming the spark. It's not too late. At some point, many older adults quietly begin to believe that certain parts of life are behind them, that love, desire, touch, and passion are things reserved for the younger years. They start to accept that the emotional warmth of intimacy and the physical joy of connection no longer belong in their story. But the truth is this: intimacy doesn't expire with age, it transforms. And for those willing to gently return to it, it offers something deeper, more meaningful, and more powerful than ever before. You may have gone 3 months, 3 years, or even longer without sexual closeness. You may have accepted discomfort, disconnection, or numbness as your new normal. But what you've learned today reveals that intimacy is not just a luxury. It is a form of medicine. Medicine for the heart, the brain, the body, and the soul. The absence of sex and emotional closeness in later life doesn't just impact how you feel in the moment. It quietly shifts your hormones, slows your circulation, dulls your mental clarity, and dims your emotional world. These changes don't happen overnight. They arrive subtly, over time, until one day you feel like a smaller version of yourself. And yet the good news is that nothing is set in stone. Your body hasn't forgotten how to respond to touch. Your brain hasn't forgotten the joy of connection. Your heart hasn't lost its ability to open. Even if intimacy has been absent, the capacity for it remains inside you, intact, waiting, and ready. That's one of the miracles of the human spirit. It can be reawakened at any age. and often all it takes is one small step forward. For some, that step may begin with a simple conversation, a brave, honest expression of longing to a partner or a trusted friend. For others, it may mean learning to reconnect with their own body through self-care, gentle touch, or intentional moments of stillness. There is no right or wrong way to return to intimacy. What matters is the willingness to explore what makes you feel alive again. This isn't about becoming someone you used to be. It's about embracing who you are now and giving that person the full experience of life. You've lived through decades of change, growth, and challenge. Your body may carry the signs of age, but your soul is still capable of light, joy, and passion. Intimacy in your 70s or 80s may not look like it did in your 30s, but in many ways it can be more real, more tender, and more honest. It's no longer about performance or proving anything. It's about connection. It's about presence. It's about sharing a moment that reminds you both that you're still here and still capable of deep feeling. And for those who are alone, this message still belongs to you. You are not excluded from this conversation. You still have the right to feel close, to yourself, to others, to life. Solo intimacy, physical affection from friends or caregivers, meaningful conversation, heartfelt eye contact, these are all threads of connection. They nourish the same systems, support the same balance, and awaken the same healing pathways in your body and mind. We live in a society that often sidelines older adults, that stops speaking to you as whole, feeling, passionate human beings. But the truth is, those who have lived the longest often love the deepest. You know what it means to lose, to hope, to endure. And you also know the value of closeness, how a small gesture, a gentle moment, or a soft word can carry more meaning than 1,000 empty distractions. So if you've been feeling distant from your body, from your partner, from yourself, know that you are not broken. You are not finished. You are not too old. You are simply ready to return, ready to feel again, ready to reconnect. Reclaiming intimacy doesn't mean chasing youth. It means stepping into your strength. It means honoring your body for all it's carried you through and offering it something it deeply deserves: pleasure, care, and kindness. It means showing yourself and perhaps your partner that life isn't over. It's still happening right now, and it can be fuller, warmer, and more alive than you ever expected. There is no expiration date on desire, no age limit on connection, and no moment too late to come back to the most human part of all, your need to feel loved, to give love, and to be touched not just physically, but emotionally. You've heard the science. You've seen the consequences of going too long without this vital connection. But more importantly, you've seen the way back. Through small steps, through honest conversations, through gentle action, and through the belief that you still deserve to feel joy in your body and peace in your heart. So let this be the moment you choose differently, not out of pressure, not out of fear, but out of love. Love for yourself, love for your life, love for what's still possible. Because it is possible. No matter how long it's been, no matter how far away it feels, you are still here, and that means you still have time to reconnect, time to rediscover, time to live with more warmth, more presence, and more intimacy. The spark is still inside you. Don't let it go dim. Fan it gently, lovingly. Let it light your way forward. You are never too old to feel alive, and you are never too far gone to be held, to be wanted, to be seen. The journey back begins today, and you don't have to walk it alone. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.